guys, my name is Felix Munyika, of course, as you already know, and I wasn't expecting myself to do this video today, and if you're watching this video, I'll ask you to pay extra attention and so that you can just understand the details of what I'm trying to put through and give a clear perspective of what really happened with the 4x400 relay athletics team Zambia in Japan during the hits of the 4x400 meters relay. So a lot has been said, obviously, on social media. A lot has been said across the world because it was involving one of the superpowers, I would say, when it comes to sport and any other areas. That's the United States of America, and there was an argument to say Zambia had cost the US a place in the final, but with the decisions that have been taken, the US and Kenya will end up running, just the two of them, and the winner will take a place in the final after the disqualification of Zambia and US initially. Then the US appealed, and Zambia couldn't manage to appeal. So I'll start, because I'm trying to create a clear understanding of what really happened. I'll start with quoting technical rules of athletics, and we are quoting rule 24, which states the lineup for the second and third takeovers when in athletics. So just a quick one. For the first exchange, when it comes to relay, from the starter to the second runner, and in the Zambian case from Muzala to Luchembe, in that race, each team stays in its own lane, so there is no issue. Muzala started in what? Lane 2. Luchembe was in lane 2. There was the first baton exchange. We move on from Luchembe to Study. Second and third exchange. Second and third exchanges. By this point, runners are no longer confined to their lanes. That's why you see Luchembe and all the others move to the inner lanes. Everyone moved to the inner lanes. I will pin the video and you'll be able to see as I'm speaking. Luchembe and the others moved to the inner lanes. Follow me on this one. They've cut into inside lanes after the first leg, obviously. So when the baton is about to be passed, multiple teams are coming to the changeover zone. Now everyone is rushing, coming. I think it's about the 20 meters changeover zone. To keep things fair and avoid chaos, the outgoing runners, the receivers, that's Study in this case, who's receiving the baton, must line up in the same order that their incoming teammates are placed in the track with 200 meters to go. So one Chamber was running at the point where he reached 200 meters at the position he was, which was position 3. That's the lane Study should take when he's waiting in the baton exchange zone, when he's waiting. So Luchembe was in position 3, and when you're watching the video, you'll be able to see, the first there was South Africa leading Netherlands, and then Luchembe was in position 3. So by the time he's reaching the baton exchange zone, Study was supposed to be in position in the lane 3 so that he could exchange the baton according to the rules of world athletics. This also applies to the third and fourth changes. So when Study received that baton, there was that confusion between the US and the US and of course Zambia when they were exchanging. And after I did an analysis of the video and research around this, I'll just read this back again because I wrote down so that I don't miss a point. After the 200 meter zone, after they did like half lap for the 400 meters, Luchembe was in position 3, like I mentioned, behind South Africa, the Netherlands. After the 200 meters, Luchembe was in position 3, behind SA and the Netherlands. When they reached that 200, he was in position 3, but whilst they were running, he even went to position 2. But because once you reach the 200 meter mark, your position is frozen. It won't affect what's happening because the receivers are waiting. So Study was waiting in lane 3 because by 200 meters, Luchembe was in position 3. That's how it works. In as much as Luchembe, even at one point, was second position, by the time they were exchanging, Study could move to second lane because the lane position was already locked and frozen. So that's why he had to maintain lane 3, because at 200 meters, Luchembe was on position 3, which means the US, which was just right behind Luchembe, was supposed to be in position 4. But we found that the US, in this case, they even obstructed Zambia. If you see clearly the incident, it's the US that obstructed Zambia in terms of the baton exchange. That's where the confusion came from, because the US were supposed to be in position in lane 4 and not lane 3, but they wanted to find themselves in lane 3 so that they can have a quicker baton exchange. Then Zambia is in lane 4. So Luchembo was coming from lane 3 because obviously he knew that he was on the 3rd position, whilst Stari was in lane 4, and it obstructed like the baton exchange when it was supposed to be the other way around. And from there, that's where the confusion started. If you just watch the video, you would agree with me when it comes to this. I'll add the short clip, so after what I said, watch the video again and then let me know if you agree, especially on the baton, the second baton exchange after between Luchembe and Stade, and the confusion that was brought by Team USA. Now, what even surprised me the most is what happened after this, because the US managed to appeal this decision, and they were given an option, they were given an opportunity to qualify again as they will race against Kenya. But on the Zambian side, I don't know how we failed to contest this decision, because athletics, they give you a specific time frame. If there are any issues, you can protest those disqualification with evidence, because if we have video evidence of what happened there and then and during the right period where you're supposed to protest, you'd be able to protest, and you protest like whatever issue you're having will be heard. But for Zambia, these are similar situations, because I've seen them happening in boxing and whatnot, and if we don't gather the courage, put together the evidence, things will just go like this. Whereas the athletes feel, they've, like, nothing has been done for them, and it's quite unfortunate, because the team from the first 1, 2, 3, you could tell the team was, they were ready to make the final. Despite what happened, they were ready to make the final despite what happened. And the baton exchange 2 to 3 is what affected the morale of the team from there, because obviously the confusion kicked in and they didn't know what will happen. But when Muzara started, Luchembe, you could see that things were going well. Stari came in and he pushed until that point where they tried, but at that point nothing could be done. I don't know what I've said, if it makes sense, and yeah, I'll just urge you to go back to the videos and watch. And then also, I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about this, because there are other issues that really need to be talked about, because I think it's becoming a norm. And whenever we talk about these things, people would, especially online and people in the sports community, especially if it's not their sport, they'll try to belittle your suggestions and whatever you're trying to put across, because it doesn't affect them. When it affects them, obviously they know who to talk to, and their issues are getting resolved. Because when the guys, the athletics team, when news was all over social media to say they are boycotting the final because of unpaid allowances, I mean, for me, it's a genuine concern, and whatever was taught to them needs to be honored, because we've seen this happen time and time again, where people have made pronouncements, people have made promises, and these things don't happen. You see? So for you to laugh at the guys saying no, such, because I saw a comment that says some of these boycotts, I mean, it doesn't make sense to you, it doesn't affect you, because it's not football. Because when the football team boycotted the friendly, or whenever, because this happens, there's a game tomorrow, the football team will say, we're not playing this game until we get paid our allowances, whatever money is being owed. Money will be found, money will be there, the football team will be paid. But when it comes to other sports, I mean, and that's why for me, I don't agree with the notion. As much as the president mentioned this to say there's no minor sport in the country, I have reservations over that, because you look at sports like netball. What's happening with netball? The last time I checked, they were late for the World Cup. I need to check if the the travel arrangements were done properly, and if they made it to Gibraltar, where the team is supposed to be competing. Look at the athletics team. They've been to the World Athletics World Relay Championships. They've been to these World Championships that are happening right now. Obviously, there's still some pending issues that now we can't even talk about for fear of being, you know, yeah, you know what happens when it comes to Zambian sports. So right now we are left with the option of just keeping quiet, because even if we say there are people had guns that will come to attack you, start telling you all sorts of things, because you're just calling out people for their own incompetencies, and they need to be held accountable for their actions, because this is getting out of hand. When I go back to the football team, because it's a perfect example, the football team that I've played, like, it has players who play outside the country. They, some even get paid in pounds, some in dollars, in euros. They're making good money. They boycotted a friendly because of the unpaid allowances. Now just imagine some of these athletes in individual sports. Yes, they might have a job, but they have family commitments, they have personal issues they need to take care of. Every time we come from a culture which expects us to help our families, regardless of what kind of family you have. Every time that you travel, they expect you to do something, just if something, handle a few issues and whatnot. But how are you going to do that whenever you travel? You're not paid what is due, and people won't understand. Like, your family won't understand. You've gone, you've traveled, you're in Japan, you're on a global stage, and then you come back, you tell them to say, no, we were not paid our allowances, so we'll just wait, and if things work, that's when, this will sound funny and people will laugh this off, but these are serious issues that happen, and they affect athletes. You see, if we expect athletes to perform at the maximum, we need to ensure that their preparations, everything that is supposed to be done behind the scenes, is taken care of. Athletes will not have a reason in their heads not to do well. I don't care what people say about this, but these are facts. People will say all sorts of things, but one thing that we need to clear and make sure it stops happening is this issue when it comes to allowances. I think personally, I don't have an issue when, I don't know about the athletes, but with my personal experience, when you are traveling and then an athlete or someone is told to say, okay, you have an option, we have this competition that's coming up, but this competition will provide everything, there's no allowance. If the athlete is really committed to their sport, they agree to go. But what makes things difficult is that, okay, you go for this competition, you'll be given this amount, camping fee or camping allowance, whatever they call it, and then for daily, when you're that side, you'll be given so and so and so and so. You become expectant, you start expecting, but whatever you're expecting is not forthcoming. Then what do? Every time, sorry, we know that when someone travels out the country, they need whatever you might call it, a per diem or daily subsistence, whatever allowance you can call it. But now people travel and that allowance never comes. You see? I mean, a lot can be said, like I can continue saying, but most of the time when you try to raise these issues, we start receiving threats, we start being called out, or you're being used, or hey, why are you trying to attack someone? So, like, I mean, this is just the truth. I'm not trying to attack anyone, I'm just stating the facts. And yeah, it's quite unfortunate that every time we have a major competition, these are the things we need to talk about, whereas there are double standards when it comes to how sports are saved in the country. Clear double standards, and some sports are still minor sports, regardless of whatever people say, because of how they are treated. But again, I would say sports need to put their houses in order. We can't have chipante kind of arrangements or preparations when people are going for competitions such as world championships and whatnot. We knew, and for athletics, what hurts me the most is we knew the time they put in Accra, that was one of the best times in the world, and definitely that time will take them places. You can't tell me they didn't know that the team will be going to the World Championships. You can't tell me they didn't know that the team will be going to the World Championships. But how are we preparing? You see, right now we should start trying to anticipate how things will go for the upcoming competitions. Looking at, okay, these numbers, can these guys make it for the Commonwealth Games? We don't have to sit surprised 2 weeks before competition. Then you realize, okay, the team is supposed to go. So what are we going to do? You see. Yeah, so I'm also happy with what the current athletics leadership is doing, having engagements with other federations, see cooperation agreements and how they can help each other. I think it will be a very good learning curve in terms of how we prepare athletes, especially in high performance setups for them when they go to competitions. Because, it's high time. We've been independent for over 60 years as a nation. You see, why are we going through the same things every year? We need to see some form of development in sport. Planning, that's what we're planning. People being committed to what they are doing, standing with their words, ensuring that whatever we do should be for the benefits of our athletes. Because they are the engines, they are the key drivers. Yes, we have people in senior leadership, we have the coaches providing technical support and assistance. Then we have the machines, the engines themselves, are the athletes, regardless of whatever sport they are playing. Because every time, this federation, Zambia sport, I think we need to have a very, robust system when it comes to how we are handling sport in the country, and the institutions that are responsible for this need to help step up and using a tough tone to make sure that people adhere to whatever will be put across, because we can't be seeing the same substandard preparations when it comes to international competitions at this level we are right now, when we have top athletes in the country. You see, I'll give you an example. Musa has been spending maybe the last 8 months or so outside the country. After these World Championships, we'll be coming back to Zambia, where that is going to be training. I don't know if the track is done now at Hero Stadium, not sure. But to my information, we don't have a standard track in the country, running track. We don't have. Unless if the one at Hero Stadium has been worked on and what was being said about OIDC has been done, then yes. But right now they don't have a standard track. You see, you go to University of Lusaka. Yes, it looks nice, but that's not according to the World Athletics standard. You can't host a competition there. You see, and you can't tell me few days they spend before competition will be enough for them to acclimatize, be good with the surface on the Tantan, whatever track they call it. If nothing changes, obviously we'll never stop talking about them until something is done. But it was quite unfortunate of how the team was disqualified and how they've been eliminated from the competition. I still feel more should have done in terms of protesting the decision that was made by the referee for that race. And I think Zambia would have stood a chance of maybe in that race, because the final, we never know what happens in the final. The key was making it to the final. Yeah, and the work that the boys have been putting in, you can tell to say they wanted to do this, really wanted to do this. Yeah, so I think with what has been said, I didn't want to say much. I've already done more than 15 minutes talking, and yeah, thank you. I hope this made sense and you got 1 or 2 cents from this. If there are any corrections to what has been said, please don't forget. Don't hesitate to comment in the YouTube video or shoot me an email or a message. I'll be able to respond and correct whatever would be raised out of this.